You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
I want to start this hour with the Halbergs. Handed out for another year, Sportsman of the Year, cyclist Aaron Gate, Team of the Year, the Blackfern Sevens, Coach of the Year, Gordon Walker from Canoe Racing, Sportswoman of the Year and Supreme winner, Dame Lisa Carrington. As always, there's debate over the winners, but also over the process of finding them, the award categories, and the validity and the value of the Halberg Awards moving forward. I think we can probably all agree that our top sports people, teams and coaches should be celebrated, but are there tweaks needed to the Halberg Awards? To kick this around, we've assembled an all-star panel. One News sports reporter, Kate Wells. How are you, Kate?
Hello, Piney. I'm very, very well, thank you.
That's the story. And head of the Alternative Commentary Collective and star of the Agenda podcast, Mike Lane, is here as well. How are you, Mike?
I'm good, thanks. Afternoon, Piney. Afternoon, Kate. Can't wait to get stuck into this, Piney.
All right, well, let's do that then. How do you assess, Mike, where the Halberg Awards are right now?
Oh, mate, I didn't even know they were on. To be honest, I only knew they were on when I saw the results the next day. I think it's a pretty easy target, the Halbergs, in terms of every year they get criticised for whether it's a judging process, whether it was the right winners. My criticism each year is whether it's still relevant to anyone under the age of 50. Because I just think it's dull as dishwater. I think it doesn't encompass everything about sport. And look, I'm pretty biased. I come from the Alternative Commentary Collective where, our ethos is entertainment first. Sport is entertainment. And I just think the whole awards is lacking that showbiz, it's lacking that razzmatazz, it's lacking any sort of entertainment whatsoever. And I don't know. I'd challenge anyone, if you went up to anyone on the street under the age of 30 and asked them what the Halbergs were, you'd get a very, very blank reception.
All right, well, we'll come back to what you might do to add some entertainment value in a sec. Kate, for you, how do you see the Halberg's relevance right now?
It's a really tricky one, isn't it? I remember growing up on a school night, I'd never miss the Halbergs. It was the one night you'd get to stay up late and watch TV, and you'd get a glimpse to these athletes that you wouldn't normally. We love to see our favourite sports stars, but now I think that we have such access to them via social media. We used to be immediacy of results that the result in itself is just kind of done. Like, it's great to re-celebrate things, but I think people now are moving on to the next thing, and I completely agree with Mike, and no one wants to sit and watch an awards anymore that just drags on. I think that's probably quite an honest response and what a lot of people think that probably went or go to the Halbergs. I just think that no one wants to sit through a 3-hour ceremony that is the same. There's no pizzazz. I think of something like the ESPYs where it's really entertaining, and you do go back to those comments made of who is going to win the awards, because you've got those niche sports like people like Courtney Duncan, Scott Dixon, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Liam Lawson this year that often don't get a look in. So I can completely understand why people have gone off it, and I have as well.
Mike, do you think the sporting feats of our top athletes, coaches, teams still need to be celebrated, though?
Oh, look, they totally do. Particularly the ones that aren't really in the professional realm. You've got the likes of the professional cricketers who they get rewarded with some pretty significant financial rewards through IPL and whatnot, and the rugby players as well. So it's good to see those sports, like the kayaking of the world. It's not really ones that's going to make you $1 million over 6 weeks in India. I like that, and I like especially the administrators get recognised. But I still think if they don't make it relevant, no one's going to know who the Coach of the Year is or care who the Coach of the Year is, because they're not going to engage with the awards. So it seems like it would fall a bit flat if I won the Coach of the Year and no one really cared. I'd be a bit gutted about that if I was that coach. It's kind of, you pick up what I'm putting down there, Tiny.
Yes, I absolutely. Let's reimagine them then. Can I just stay with you, Mike, then? Because obviously the relevance is a thing you picked up on in your first answer. So if we're talking the new audience, the under 50s, even the under 30s, as you alluded to, how do we engage people under 30 with the awards to celebrate our top sports people?
Look, I probably think Kate's better in a better demo to answer that question, to be honest. But I like to think that I know. But Listen, I mean, I've got young kids who are basically obsessed with American sports. They haven't watched one game in its full length and entirety. They consume everything via 1-minute clips on YouTube or TikTok, and they are obsessed with the NFL and the NBA and everything like that because it's entertaining, because it's razzle-dazzle, because it's just got so much character to it. So with the awards, for me, and this is purely selfishly from me, like I said before, I'm all about entertainment and adding some humour into it. I think the awards, not only should they be there to recognise, our top athletes, our top administrators and coaches, but I think we need to mix it in with a bit of what sports is about. It's the ups and downs, the biggest blowout of the year. I'd love to have the biggest hot take, the big journalistic hot take that went wrong, which would basically involve headlines from Christopher Tu and Mark Reason. But it would be funny. You know what I mean? And the athletes would enjoy that. And I think, the social media faux pas of the year, kind of mix it in with some stuff that would actually be quite funny and snackable that you could then put out on social media. And people under the age of 40 would go, actually, these actually look pretty fun. They look pretty loose. They can laugh at themselves. And particularly the media, I think it's a chance to potentially roast the media within the sports realm as well. And the athletes, you've met plenty of athletes, both of you would have. They're all pretty humble, and they don't mind getting a ribbing, and they don't mind the piss being taken out of them a little bit. So I think that needs to be encompassed along, obviously, with the recognition of some pretty supreme athletes. But I think that would, for me, personally, but I'm sure a few others, would start to bring some sort of relevance back in to the Halbergs, which I see as a bit of an old stale cracker at the moment.
All right. Well, Kate, talk to us from the demo that neither Mike and I are involved in, haven't been for a long time, the under-30 demo. What would get you tuning in for 3 hours or for whatever, or maybe 3 hours is too long. It probably almost certainly is too long. What would get you tuning in to the Halbergs, with some real enthusiasm?
I think you're right, 3 hours. Gosh, I've got to scroll my TikTok after about half an hour, bloody hell. But no, I think I really like Mike's idea with making it more informal because, we see these young athletes in these long-form interviews on the Halbergs, and that's probably not what they want to do either, make it quick and snappy and a bit more fun. I don't know if I have any answers that I can, think of to make it better at the moment, but I'm sure if you've got a young committee together, make it based around social media because that's what people watch. People watch TikTok, they watch Reels. And these athletes do have personalities. We just see the formal side of it from our interviews. And I think they probably do want to put a different side of themselves out there. So I don't know, we'll have to see, and maybe a few social media type challenges or something, but I'm sure Mike's got all the ideas, and I think he's quite right about his kids, wanting to watch those American sports. Andrew Saville said the other day that his kids are all into NBA. They want to see these stars because it's all universal, it's all made very accessible to them, where I think in New Zealand it's just not, and we don't see this side of our athletes. So maybe everyone just needs to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good encapsulation of it. Look, my son's the same. He's 16. Hasn't watched a game of rugby, I don't think, in his life. Hasn't watched a game of football in his life. And that's crazy because he's my son. And as far as American sport is concerned, he snacks on it, exactly like Mike said. Kate, can I just stay with you? There are so many Kiwi athletes, sports people who are just slaying it overseas at the moment. Should they be acknowledged more in all of this rather than, the same old Olympic sports, the rugbies and the crickets and such like?
No, I totally agree. I think we need to champion our niche sports because these are the sports of the future, the ones that are being introduced at Olympic Games and whatnot. And I know that it's important to celebrate people like Lisa Carrington, and I feel like that's best suited for an Olympic year, and I know that that's probably going to be controversial saying that, but I think there is opportunity to champion other sports. And think of Liam Lawson. He had such a big year last year, and to not be recognised, I just don't understand it. And Courtney Duncan too. What else does she need to do to prove that she's the top of her sport? She can't do much more.
Yes, carry on. Sorry, Mike.
I think I'm just coming in there. Why do we have to have the same categories every year? What I mean? Why can't they say, hey, it's been a great year, it's been a great year for Liam Lawson, just make a category up. I don't know. You know what I mean? Why does it have to be those same categories? If Courtney Duncan, obviously massively successful, Liam Lawson, just recognise them in some way with some sort of accolade. I don't know. I just find
even give him hairstyle of the year. I mean, it's wonderful.
No, totally. Yeah, I met him in person. He looks like he's about 16, but he has probably got the best hair in Formula One right now, which is saying something.
So, in amongst all of this, well, the common theme that's coming through here is that there needs to be a change. There needs to be more entertainment value. There needs to be a bit more vigour around the awards. How then, Mike, do you retain the validity of the awards, the prestige of them? Because these awards are steeped in history, and it is a proud history. We like to wander down memory lane and remember the great achievements of the past. How do we retain that prestige and validity, but still move into this brave new world?
Well, I guess Halberg just need to work out what they are. What's their goal? What is the goal? If the goal is just to recognise these particular athletes in these particular categories every year, then sweet as. Carry on in the missionary position and just do as you're doing. But if you're going to have to do something if you want to engage just even a portion of the population. And I kind of appreciate what they did a few years ago. They brought in People's Choice at the moment of the year, and you could vote on the moment of the year. And that was an evolution because it got the kind of public involved. But I'd like to probably see how many people voted in that. I'd say it would be 100 of the people who engaged with some sort of ZM Taylor Swift promotion, for example. So I guess they're trying, but I guess it's all down to the Halberg Committee and what they actually see the Halbergs as. For me, if it stays the same, then they've just become completely irrelevant for me. I'm a 45-year-old man who loves sport, but I just can't get into the Halbergs.
And do we need to have it in the same place and the same time at the same venue? It's just a bit stale.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, look, if I got onto the committee, I'd probably be thrown out in the first hour, to be honest. But I'd definitely give it a hoon.
Well, I think you're what's called a disruptor in these in these discussions. But sometimes, we do. Look, if we do what we've done, if we keep doing what we've always done, we'll get what we've always got. And that's the crossroads where I think, Mike, we find ourselves in at the moment. Like, do we, as you say, maybe there is a mood. Maybe this what you guys are saying is just completely outlandish, and actually what people want is the same. But if that's the case, then I think eventually there's going to be no regeneration at the bottom end of those who have any enthusiasm for these awards at all.
Do they?
And I think also, no one watches TV anymore. Well, a lot of people do, but young people just get home and watch Netflix or Neon. No one turns, free to air TV from about 7 o'clock onwards. So I don't know if needs to be a change there, or stream it. I don't know. Is there a way to do it?
Well, that's why I say, like, snackable content via social that looks fun, engaging, and looks glamorous as well. A little. And I'm not talking kind of black tie glamorous. That's not glamorous. Like, watch the NBA and NFL, watch those. That's glamour for younger audience, not some crusty old administrator in a bow tie and tails. You know what I mean? That's not glamour.
We need a Lady Gaga in the meat suit or something. I can imagine someone like Aaron Gate doing that.
I'd pay to see that. See, that would go viral.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to the two founding members of the Halbergs of the Future Committee for joining us on the show this afternoon. You've given us plenty of food for thought. I think we all would probably accept that, as I said at the start, we want to celebrate our sporting achievements. How we do it, I guess, is the big question with various different answers. Mike, great to chat to you, mate. Thanks for taking the time in your busy schedule to join us.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.